Welcome back to Phoenix English classes. Today we are going to start with the second part of the story, The Enemy, which is prescribed in class 12 CBSE board English code. The book is Vistas. Up to now we have seen that Dr. Sadao and his wife Hana found an enemy soldier on the sea coast that is just in front of their house. They carry him home. He was shot in the back. Being a surgeon, being a doctor, Sadao feels that his prime duty, his first duty is to save the life of the one whosoever comes in his contact and needs his help. He puts all the prejudices of nationalism, he puts away all the prejudices of being a Japanese or the soldiers being an American, an enemy. He starts giving his patient, who is an enemy also, the best kind of treatment he could give. And in doing this kind of a thing that would have been looked at as an act of traitor, an act of a man who opposes his own country, he starts giving him the treatment. He operates him, and during all this process, no one in the house, no servant of the house is ready to give any helping hand to Sadao. But Hana, his wife, is always with Dr. Sadao. She is firmly standing beside him, helping him out in operation, and this was the thing that she had never done in her life. As a result of all this endeavor, all this Herculean task of the couple, the enemy soldier is now out of woods. And here ends the first part of the story. Let's begin with the second part of it. See the text. The young man woke so weak, his blue eyes so terrified, when he perceived where he was, that Hana felt compelled to apology. She served him herself, for none of the servants would enter the room. How many days have been passed since the bullet was operated out and the man, the soldier, the American soldier, was lying there unconscious? There is no mentioning of it. You can imagine, if such an operation of a feeble and weak or almost a dead person is performed, how many days can it take? We'll come to know further about it. But when he came to his consciousness and he looks around and finds himself in a Japanese house, the man is terribly horrified. He is afraid, he is panicked. His blue eyes show the glimpses of panic, of fear, and it was so grave that Hana pitied him. She knew why he is panicked, and she was compelled to give explanation to what has happened with him and to console him that he was safe and up to now he can feel at ease and feel no harm to him until he is there as a guest in their house. During all those days, Hannah was serving the soldier because none of the servants were ready to do it by any means at any cost. They plainly denied to enter the room where they had put an enemy soldier. When she came in the first time, she saw him summon his small strength to be prepared for some fearful thing. This is the first incident when Hannah finds him fully conscious. And when she enters the room, what she finds is amazing. But you can think such a condition, and it can easily be guessed why the man, the enemy soldier, was in such a state and why he was doing what Hannah had seen. When she came first to see, he was trying something that was fearful. Realizing that he was in the house of an enemy of a Japanese couple, he was full of fear. He was afraid as anything, and he was trying to do something fearful. Hannah entered and he was panicked. Hannah tried to console him, saying, "Don't be afraid." She begged him softly to console him, to give him a sense of security. She says, "You need not be afraid of me. Don't be afraid. We are of no harm to you, and we even don't mean such a thing against you. Don't worry." She tried to calm him. "How come you speak English?" he gasped. "I was a long time in America," she replied. When the man was a bit consoled, the first thing he asked Hannah was how she could speak in English. It was not a common thing in Japan that you will find someone speaking English in the same tone as you speak there in America. He was full of curiosities, and he was trying to console himself that I am safe. Language is the thing that gives you a feeling of safety in the foreign land if someone speaks in your language. That was there. As soon as Hannah speaks in English, he is a bit consoled. The question naturally comes, you are a Japanese and you are speaking in English, how does it come? Hannah says that she was in America for a long time. She tells him the right thing. She saw that he wanted to reply to that, but he could not. And so he knelt and fed him gently from the porcelain spoon. He ate unwillingly, but still he ate. Hannah could see it, that he wanted to make a reply of it. What Hannah informed the man that she had been in America for a long time, that's why she can speak in English. He wanted to say something about that, but his energy, his weakness did not allow him to speak anything. He could not speak. And so Hannah knelt and started feeding him gently from the porcelain spoon. She had something to feed him, and she started feeding him with her own hand. There was a porcelain spoon with which she was feeding him. Although he was unwilling, yet he was hungry, he was tired, he was exhausted, and he needed something to eat. That's why unwillingly he ate from Hannah's hands. Now you will soon be strong, she said, not liking him and yet moved to comfort him. He did not answer. At the time when Hannah was feeding him, she said to console him, as we all do when there is some sick person around us. We say that you will get well soon. The same thing was uttered by Hannah also. She tried to give him comfort, saying that soon you will become strong, don't worry. Although she did not want to do it, but it was only to comfort him. She was not moved at all that she would have felt the dint of pity in her heart, that how pitiful this figure is. That was not the cause behind what she has said, but it was only to comfort him. To this, the man did not make any answer, because he also knew what she had said was only a formal thing to be uttered to a patient. When Sadao came in the third day after the operation, he found the young man sitting up, his face bloodless with the effort. "Lie down," Sadao cried. "Do you want to die?" Time elapsed, time passed. On the third day of the operation, when Sadao entered the room, he found the man not lying there in the bed, but he was sitting on the bed. And in doing so, he was taking a stress, he was giving pains to his own body, and it might be harmful or dangerous. When Sadao saw all this, he was angry as anything, and he cried, "Do you want to die? Lie down. You are not allowed to sit by yourself." He forced the man down gently and strongly and examined the wound. "You may kill yourself if you do this sort of thing," he scolded. He not only said that you cannot sit, lie down, but he forced the man to lie down once again, and he started examining the wound. What he had done would have caused some more injuries to the wounds that were still afresh. And examining the wound, he warned him that if you are repeating such a thing, if you are doing such a thing, that you are not following the orders of your doctor, and you leave the bed or try to sit down on your own accord, then it will be very dangerous for you. You can die, and I would not allow this. "What are you going to do with me?" the boy muttered. When doctor said, "If you do it, you will die," the boy made another question. Being a Japanese, you want me to die? And if you don't want it, then what else do you want to do with me? Certainly, it would be more dangerous than death itself. He looked just now barely 17. "Are you going to hand me over?" When Sadao gave no reply, he himself made an answer in the form of a question. "If you don't want me to die, what will you do of me? Are you going to hand me over to your army?" And that was the thought which was there in the mind of the couple. And this time when he asked such a question to Sadao, the army soldier, that enemy soldier, looked like only 17 years old boy. Up to now, Sadao thought that he would have been 25 around, less than 25, but he never thought that he would be 17. But when he started speaking and Sadao looked at the face. He could guess that he was hardly 17. He was just a boy. अब यहाँ पर इस हिस्से में, स्टोरी के इस हिस्से में हम देखते हैं कि उस आर्मी सोल्जर को, उस अमेरिकन सोल्जर को होश आ गया है और हाना पहुंचती है उसको कुछ खिलाने के लिए, तो वो हाना को देख के भयभीत हो जाता है, डर जाता है। हाना उसको भयभीत देख के मजबूर हो जाती है ये कहने के लिए, उसकी दयनीय स्थिति को देखकर, ये बताने के लिए, उसको कंफर्ट देने के लिए, उसको सांत्वना देने के लिए कि उसे यहाँ पर कोई डर नहीं है। उस भयाक्रांत निगाहों को, उसकी नीली आँखों को देखकर उसे बड़ा बुरा लगता है कि ये डरा हुआ है, तो उसे समझाती है कि यहाँ पे तुम्हें कोई डर नहीं है। और ये कहते हुए एक तरह से वो अपोलोजाइज़ करती है, माफ़ी मांगती है उससे, और सारी तीमारदारी खुद हाना ही कर रही है क्योंकि कोई भी नौकर उस कमरे में आने को तैयार नहीं है। पहली बार जब उसने देखा था, ऑपरेशन के बाद जब वो होश में आया और पहली बार हाना ने देखा, तो उस समय तो वो बड़ी भयानक कोई चीज़ करने जा रहा था। उसे लगा जैसे दरवाज़ा खुला तो कोई ना कोई जापानीज़ सोल्जर आएगा और फिर मेरे साथ कुछ बुरा होने वाला है। तो हाना जब अंदर आई तो वैसा ही डर का भाव उसके चेहरे के ऊपर था और उसने देखा कि वो अपने साहस को, अपनी शक्ति को बटोर के कुछ ऐसा, कुछ किसी भयानक चीज़ का सामना करने के लिए अपने आप को तैयार कर रहा हो। लेकिन हाना ने उसे सांत्वना देने के लिए उसे कहा, डरने की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, तुम सुरक्षित हो। अभी जब हाना ने ये बात अंग्रेज़ी में कही तो वो नवयुवक सिपाही वो चौंका, उसने कहा, आप अंग्रेज़ी कैसे बोलती? हाना ने उसको थोड़ा और सांत्वना प्रदान की जब उसने कहा कि मैं काफ़ी लंबे समय तक अमेरिका में रही हूँ, इसलिए। अब इस बात का जवाब वो एनिमी सोल्जर देना चाहता था, लेकिन शरीर में इतनी ताकत थी नहीं कि वो ज़्यादा कन्वर्सेशन कर सके, तो हाना ने भी आगे कुछ सुनने का प्रयास नहीं किया या आगे कुछ बोलने का प्रयास नहीं किया। वो साथ में कटोरे में कुछ लेकर आई हुई थी, दैट मे बी सम पॉरेज एट्सेट्रा, इजीली डाइजेस्टेबल थिंग। वो उसने चम्मच से, पोर्सिलेन के चम्मच से उसको खिलाना शुरू किया। हालांकि खाते समय उस लड़के के मन में अनिच्छा थी, लेकिन फिर भी खाना तो था क्योंकि आवश्यकता भी थी, भूख भी थी, और जितनी जल्दी वो चाहे, जितनी जल्दी हो सके उतनी जल्दी वो स्वस्थ होना चाहेगा, इसलिए उसने खा लिया। खिलाते हुए हाना ने कहा, जल्दी ही तुम्हारी शक्ति वापस आ जाएगी। हालांकि इस बात का कोई उत्तर आर्मी सोल्जर ने नहीं दिया। ऑपरेशन के 3 दिन बाद जब सदाओ उस कमरे के अंदर आया तो उसने देखा कि वो यंग मैन लेटा हुआ नहीं था, बल्कि वो अपने आप से उठ के बैठ गया था, बिस्तर पे ही बैठ गया था। ये देखते ही सदाओ गुस्से में आ गया और उसने डांटते हुए कहा, चुपचाप लेट जाओ। क्या तुम मरना चाहते हो? और ये कह के लगभग ज़बरदस्ती उसको लिटा दिया। लेकिन जब उसने कहा कि क्या तुम मरना चाहते हो, तो वो लड़का बोला, मेरे साथ आप करना क्या चाहते हैं? मुझे बचा के आप करेंगे भी क्या? मेरे ऊपर इतनी मेहरबानी क्यों? मुझे आखिर उन्हीं लोगों के हाथ में तो सौंपना चाहते हैं आप? ये प्रश्न उसने किया। सी द टेक्स्ट। फॉर अ मोमेंट सदाओ डिड नॉट आंसर. He finished his examination and then pulled the silk quilt over the man. But Sadao did not make any reply to this question. Neither he had nor he wanted. He did not want to make any reply. He simply pulled the silk quilt on the boy so that he may lie down peacefully. I do not know myself what I shall do with you, he said. I ought, of course, to give you to the police. You are a prisoner of war. Now, do not tell me anything. He put up his hand as he saw the young man was about to speak. Do not even tell me your name unless I ask it. But knowing the gravity of the curiosity and the mental state of his patient, Sadao thought of making an answer. After pulling up that quilt, he thought of appeasing the curiosity of the man, and he said, up to now I myself do not know what I want to do with you. I have not made up my mind yet what to do with you. And if I say it rightly, my duty is to inform the police, because you are a fugitive. You are a fugitive from the Japanese jail. You are a war prisoner. I know it well. As soon as he said this, he knew that the boy wanted to say something. But before the boy could utter even one word to explain his plight, to explain his view, his side, Dr. Sadao stopped him from speaking anything. He said, don't say anything, don't tell anything to me, don't utter even one word. I am not interested in knowing your name either. Don't tell me what your name is, and don't tell it to me until I ask you what is your name. That was the reaction of Sadao. They looked at each other for a moment, and then the young man closed his eyes and turned his face to the wall. On this, they looked at each other eye in eye, saying nothing, listening nothing. The boy knew that he did not want anything to be uttered from my side. He did not want any kind of revelation. He is not interested at all in what had happened with me, how I have came ashore and how I was wounded with a bullet. He is not interested in all these things. Then what talk can go on between us? There was a hushed silence between these two, and finding nothing to say and nothing to listen, the boy closed his eyes. If you don't want to listen to me, then I would like to close my eyes and try to sleep. And there the conversation comes to an end, and not only he closed his eye, but he started looking towards the wall. Now he was not looking at Sadao's face. अब यहाँ पे जो लड़के ने एक प्रश्न किया था, आप मेरे साथ करना क्या चाहते हैं? क्या मुझे वापस नहीं सौंपना चाहते हैं उन लोगों के हाथों में? इसका उत्तर सदाओ ने नहीं दिया। उसने पहले उसे लिटा चुका था, उसने रजाई ऊपर खींच दी, लेकिन उसने सोचा, सदाओ ने सोचा कि इस लड़के की क्यूरियोसिटी का कुछ ना कुछ तो जवाब देना होगा, ताकि वो अपने आप को सुरक्षित महसूस कर सके, वो अपने आप को हमारे घर में इस जगह पे असुरक्षित महसूस ना करें। तो सदाओ ने कहा, सच बात तो ये है, मुझे भी नहीं मालूम कि मैं तुम्हारा क्या करना चाहता हूँ। वैसे कायदे से तो मुझे तुम्हें अभी तक पुलिस को सौंप देना चाहिए था, क्योंकि मुझे पता है तुम वॉर प्रिजनर हो। जैसे उसने कहा मुझे पता है तुम वॉर प्रिजनर हो, उसने कुछ बोलने की कोशिश की, कुछ बताने की कोशिश की। सदाओ ने उसके बोलने के पहले उसकी बात को काट दिया और कहा, ना तुम्हारी कोई सफाई नहीं सुननी है, तुम्हारी कोई बात नहीं सुननी है, और कुछ बोलना मत इस घर के अंदर। अपना नाम भी तुम मुझे मत बताना तब तक जब तक मैं खुद न पूछूं कि तुम्हारा नाम क्या है। मतलब एक तरह से पूर्ण विराम उसने लगा दिया किसी भी बात को आगे बढ़ाने से। अब सदाओ उसकी तरफ देख रहा है, वो सदाओ की तरफ देख रहा है, बात करने के लिए कुछ नहीं बचा। कुछ क्षणों तक एक दूसरे की आंखों में आंखें डालकर उन लोगों ने देखा, और फिर उस लड़के ने, जब वो जान गया कि मेरे बारे में कुछ जानना ही नहीं चाहते, तो उसने अपनी आंख बंद कर ली और चेहरा दीवार की तरफ घुमा लिया। Okay, he whispered, his mouth a bitter line. Outside the door, Hana was waiting for Sadao. He said at once that she was in trouble. And looking away from Dr. Sadao, looking towards the wall, he said, okay, if you don't want to know anything about me, then I am also not interested in saying anything forcibly. It's okay. And there was a bitter expression on his face. In the meanwhile, outside the door, Hana, who was waiting for Sadao, she said that I want your help. Hana wanted Sadao's help for something. Sadao, Yumi tells me the servants feel they cannot stay if we hide this man here anymore, she said. And not stopping even for a moment, she said, Hana said that Sadao, now our servants have become rebellion, and Yumi is plainly saying that I cannot serve in such a house where you are entertaining an enemy soldier. Another problem in the house. She tells me that they are saying that you and I were so long in America that we have forgotten to think of our own country first. They think we like Americans. And now the servants have come to a conclusion about us. They are concluding our characters, and they have made a conclusion that because we had been in America for a long time, we have lost all our nationalism, our patriotism, our duty for the nation, and have become Americans. That's why we are siding with the American soldier in such a time when war is going on between two countries. In other words, they are saying that you have become, both Hana and Sadao, you have become the traitors, and we cannot work for the traitors in our country. It is not true, Sadao said harshly. Americans are our enemies, but I have been trained not to let a man die if I can help it. Sadao, for the first time, seems to be losing his temper, and he was harsh. His voice was harsh this time. He said, this is all nonsense. How can it be? We are nationalists. Americans are not our friends, they are our enemies, and I know it very well. But I am a doctor, and I have been given a training that if I can save a man, I cannot let him die. This is my profession. I am only doing my profession. I am not against my country, I am not a traitor. The servants cannot understand that, she said anxiously. No, he agreed. But Hana tried to tell him about the grounds of reality, and the reality was that the servants were thinking that they were traitors, and they do not understand what are the duties of a doctor. The servants are not ready to accept the notion that if you are a doctor, you can save the life of an enemy soldier. They do not understand the thing. Now this was well understood by Dr. Sadao. He said yes, they do not understand. अब अभी वो लड़का दूसरी तरफ दीवार की तरफ मुँह करता है और कहता ठीक है, आप नहीं सुनना चाहते तो मैं बताऊंगा भी नहीं। अभी ये बात हुई ही थी, तब तक सदाओ को आवाज़ दी बाहर से हाना ने। हाना बाहर सदाओ का इंतज़ार कर रही थी और कुछ समस्या थी बाहर, वो उसके बारे में डिस्कस करना चाहती थी, और उसने कहा, जैसे ही सदाओ ने उसकी बात को सुना बाहर गए, वैसे सदाओ से उसने कहा कि सदाओ यूमी कह रही है कि सारे नौकरों का ये मानना है कि हम इस आदमी को, इस दुश्मन को यहाँ पे छुपाए हुए रखे हुए हैं, और ऐसे में वो लोग हमारे लिए अब काम नहीं कर सकते हैं। उनका मानना ये भी है कि हम दोनों लोग लंबे समय तक अमेरिका में रहे हैं, इसीलिए हम अमेरिकन लोगों को पसंद करते हैं, उनको अपना दोस्त मानते हैं और हम अपने देश के बारे में भूल चुके हैं। दूसरे शब्दों में कहें तो वो हमें अमेरिका के हितैषी और अपने देश के गद्दार समझते हैं। गुस्सा आया सदाओ को, उसने कहा अरे ये तो बिल्कुल गलत है, अमेरिकी हमारे दोस्त नहीं हैं, अमेरिकन हमारे दुश्मन हैं, इसमें कोई संदेह नहीं है। लेकिन जब मुझे प्रशिक्षण दिया गया चिकित्सीय शिक्षा का, तो मुझे यही सिखाया गया कि मैं उस व्यक्ति को मरने ना दूं जो व्यक्ति मेरे पास है, जिसे मैं बचा सकता हूँ, क्योंकि वो मेरे लिए सिर्फ पेशेंट होता है। हाँ ठीक है तुम्हारी बात, लेकिन ये बात नौकर नहीं समझते। वो नौकर हैं, वो डॉक्टर्स नहीं हैं, वो सर्जन नहीं हैं। सदाओं ने स्वीकार किया, सदाओं ने कहा हाँ ये बात सही है, वो नौकर है। So this was the first part of this second episode of this story, and this is the 7th video of the series. In the next video we will start from the very point we have left this story, and till then I would once again like to advise you that watch all the 6 videos of the series to understand what has happened in the previous episode. The first episode is consisting of 6 small videos, but it will give you a thorough idea of the story, a very good understanding of the story, and it will sure help you out in your examination, in your board examination. There are certain difficult words in this part also, and they are given in the description. There is comment box for your doubts, for your queries, for your suggestions. You can suggest me the things that you want to be included or excluded from the video. These all things will be done, but it cannot be done unilaterally. A dialogue should be bilateral. I hope you are taking notes, I hope you are trying to understand, and you are understanding it well. I am trying my best to make it so easy that everybody, every intermediate student can easily understand the story, and for all such endeavors what I need is the support of all the students. I hope you can understand it. Keep liking, keep subscribing, share it with your friends, and thanks for being with us. Goodbye.